There's a word that keeps showing up like a pebble in the shoe of my conscience. Only. Only this many Palestinians were killed. Only this many people died in ICE or DHS custody. Only this many children. Only this many bodies after a mass shooting. As if the phrase itself is a soft blanket we throw over a pile of names we never learn. And I hate it, what that word does, because only doesn't just measure, it minimizes. It takes a human life, somebody's whole beating, complicated universe, and trims it down to a number small enough to hold at arm's length. It turns grief into math. It turns horror into a comparison chart. It invites us to bargain with our own empathy like we're negotiating a bill. Only. As if one life is an acceptable loss, as if two is still not that bad, as if there's a threshold where we're finally allowed to feel what we should have felt the first time. And that's how it happens, isn't it? Not with one big moment where the soul of a country shatters in a single dramatic crack. It happens the way the frog in the pot happens, slowly, quietly, in degrees you barely notice until you realize the water's boiling and you've been teaching your nervous system to call it normal. At first you feel everything. The first headline knocks the wind out of you. The first image sticks to the inside of your eyelids. The first time you hear about a death that didn't have to happen, you sit there thinking, this cannot be who we are. But then the headlines keep coming. And the language changes. We stop saying people and start saying numbers. We stop saying names and start saying counts. We stop saying a child and start saying a figure. And the cruelest part is how quickly only starts to sound reasonable. Only becomes the vocabulary of coping, the grammar of distance, the shorthand of a heart trying not to break again. Because if you really let it in, if you let one death fully enter your body like it belongs there, then what do you do with the next one? And the next, and the next. So we learn the trick. We learn to ask, how many? Not because we're monsters, because we're tired. We're tired and we're scared and we're overwhelmed and we're being trained day after day to accept the unacceptable in smaller bites. And somewhere along the way, a question starts haunting the back of the throat. How many does it take? How many dead before it counts as tragedy? How many children before it's no longer a policy outcome or an incident or a complex situation? How many bodies until the language stops softening the edges and we finally call it what it is? And I think the ugliest answer, the one we don't want to admit, is this. In a country that has learned to live with it, the number is always higher than whatever it is today. Because only keeps moving the goalpost, only becomes a ladder we climb away from our own tenderness, only becomes the excuse we use to keep dinner on the table and go to work tomorrow and pretend we can't feel everything because feeling everything would make us fall apart. But here's what I can't shake. Somebody loved them. Somebody knew their laugh. Somebody knew how they took their coffee, or what song made them sing in the car, or the face they made when they were trying not to cry. Somebody is living in the after, waking up in the wrong world because a life ended that didn't have to end. And no matter where the death happened, on a street, in a cell, under rubble, under bureaucratic indifference, under the weight of a system that shrugs, there is no only inside that kind of grief. There's just a hole. So I'm trying on purpose to unlearn the language that makes it easier to look away. I'm trying to stop treating the body count like a thermometer that tells me when I'm allowed to be horrified. Because the truth is, one is enough. One child is enough. One person dying alone in custody is enough. One family turned into a before and after photo is enough. One life stolen or discarded or explained away is enough to say this is not okay. This should not be normal. We should not be able to swallow this. And if you feel yourself getting jaded, if you feel that numbness creeping in like a slow fog, please don't shame yourself for it. Just name it. Name it as a sign that your empathy has been overworked. Name it as proof that you've been asked to carry too much without a place to set it down. And then gently, deliberately, choose one moment to let the word only fall apart in your hands. Replace it with something truer, a person, a name, a life. And when the next headline comes, and it will, don't let only do the work of erasing. Don't let it sand the grief down into something manageable, something you can step over without noticing. Let it hurt the way it should. Let it interrupt you. Let it pull you back into your own tenderness. Because this is how a country survives, not by learning to live with the unbearable, but by refusing to make peace with it. Not by becoming harder, but by staying soft on purpose, staying reachable, staying awake until only finally loses its power to numb us and a single life is enough to matter again.